Hello there everybody, this is Krista and welcome back to Crochet Witch Tarot. And it feels like it's been a bit. It has been a bit, hasn't it? Oh, Stevie's here to join us as well, I see. So, I wanted to sit down this week and originally I was going to do my usual monthly wrap-up video, but that got thrown off a little bit by, I guess, me having the realization that changing decks out in some sort of, like, certain time frame isn't currently working for me. And so it felt like this thing of like, okay, well, if that doesn't work for me, then does doing monthly favorites work? Which I think it would. I think it would. I do think I still want to make those sorts of videos, whether it's necessarily things changing out from month to month, doesn't seem to, it doesn't matter to those, you know? You know what I mean? Anyway, but I was reflecting on my month of February and just, it was a tough month. It was a very heavy, kind of hard month for me, and so I didn't necessarily want to sit and make a video speaking too much on that, I guess. Not in that I don't want to share, because I tend to share most everything anyway, but more that it didn't feel like that would be helpful to me or anyone else, really, you know? And not to say that I think there is a lot of good that can be done from sharing our life experiences, and a lot of kind of connection that's helpful that can happen that way. But I guess when I was thinking on it, at this point, it didn't, I guess it felt like it would kind of just be bringing the party down, you know what I mean? Like, just, that was the sense I was getting, that it wouldn't be helpful, again, to myself or anyone else. And so I was really thinking about what it was that I tend to lean into when I'm feeling that way. And it really is the sense of connection I feel in this community and doing the things that I really love to do, talking about the things that I love. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about right now and lean into, is that amazing sense of community connection we have here. I didn't really plan this too much in my head before I started talking, so if I'm all over the place, are we surprised? No. Anyway, the other thing that I lean into in those times are very specific decks. So I thought that would also be interesting to think about. For me, that is my Forest of Enchantment Tarot. This was out constantly last month. I mean, it's out a lot anyway. It's probably my favorite tarot deck, I have to say. But when I'm having those really hard moments, things that are just feeling tough, the deck I want to use is the Forest of Enchantment. And so when I was thinking about that sense of community I love, thinking about this tarot deck and why I love that, I felt really inspired to kind of create something out of that. I also have been really inspired by Meraylah Allwood 513, I think that's right numbers, as well as Dawn Michelle, who they both create these really cool, communal seems like a weird word. Doesn't that, every time I say the word communal, I think of communal toilet. Is that even a common phrase? There must be a sign that's up in like a bunch of places that's like communal. That doesn't make any sense. But that's always what I think, so I don't like using the word communal, but that's all I have right now. Communal card practices that are just, they both make these really awesome shared practices. Shared, that's a better word. And so I felt really inspired by the both of them as well. Particularly, I've been following along Racine's Kali Oracle week-long kind of deep dive deck practice, which has been really cool. So I felt inspired by that as well. Long story short, I wanted to share with you all something I kind of created for myself, but I think could be helpful to more than just myself. And it is a tarot practice all based around the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. And I've called it just simply Journey Through the Forest of Enchantment. And this is something I've kind of aimed to do. I have it written down, that's why I'm looking down. In times when you're feeling a little lost. Because I find when I've got just a period of time where things are just heavy and hard, when I'm coming out of that, I have this feeling of just like, well, what am I doing? You know, I'm feeling lost. I'm needing to really reconnect to the things that I like and the things that I like doing, but in this really big way, it feels like. So that's kind of the theme for this journey, and I crafted it kind of for myself, but again, I thought I would turn it into this. I've got about 7 to 8 days here. I'm not going to necessarily do a week where it's like every day there's something to do, because I think it's a bit, some of this feels like a bit kind of like bigger things to sit with. So it's going to be a bit sporadic, but isn't that how I usually do things, you know? So, I feel like I'm explaining this horribly, but I've got this 8-day kind of deck-specific practice that I've created following the Forest of Enchantment Journey from the Fool to the World. Now, this deck does that journey that we see in every tarot. That's kind of how it's constructed. This deck does it in my favorite way, though, because we start out at the Fool being, if I can get to it, that would be good. We start with the White Heart, which is our Fool in this deck. And here you can see we are at the entrance of this misty, magical forest. And from the Fool all the way to the World card, the idea is that the White Heart is leading us. It's our guide through this magical forest, learning all the lessons there are to learn through the archetypes in the major arcana, and coming out the other end, kind of just finding our path. And so the theme of this deck really fits into just what I've been feeling of needing to find myself back to my own path and my way of doing things that it just feels right. So I will be I'm gonna guess it's gonna be 2 to 3 videos a week for however long this is, which again is like 8 days. 8 of these things. And we're just gonna go through one by one. I've grouped the major arcanas together in a structure that made sense, again, to this overarching theme of finding our way back when we're feeling lost. So this is kind of the introduction video to that, and I think we're gonna officially start on this next week. So I hope this sounds exciting to some of you, or I don't know, at least interesting to check out. The way I am planning on doing this is that I don't want anyone to feel like they have to have this deck in order to follow along with this. You can use any deck. How I'm going to structure it, again, I've structured it very specifically around the way the majors are written in this deck and how the archetypes are presented, but I have used those to create my own spreads to do for each day, which I will be sharing with you all, and you can do that with any tarot deck you would like. I personally will be mostly using the Forest of Enchantment because that was my whole purpose in creating this for myself, but again, use any deck that has that energy for you, that just brings you back to almost like a center of self and reconnection. So before we start this week, I did make a spread that I want to share with you all, sort of as like a pre-work kind of thing. Oh my gosh, I'm giving homework. Does that make anyone nervous? It shouldn't. I'm kidding. So, the beginning spread, I will have it completely typed out below. I swear I will. But the beginning spread is as follows. What has me feeling lost is our first question. Then, how do I feel about myself right now? What do I know to be true about my current life? How do I currently relate to the idea of connection/interconnectedness? And what am I hoping to find on this journey through the Enchanted Forest? So, that is what we're going to start off this journey with. I also invite you, if you do happen to have this deck and the guidebook, there is a spread I really love in the back called the Council of Animals spread, and I think this could be really interesting to do to build upon a current idea of a sense of self. So if you have this guidebook, I recommend looking into that as well. I'm not, like, am I allowed to share that on here for anyone who doesn't have the deck? The only reason I'm not is because I don't know. Am I allowed to do that? Someone let me know. Because if I'm allowed to do that, I will share it, absolutely. But I don't know if I'm allowed. So. My plan, though, however, as I said just before that, I plan on mostly using this tarot. However, my plan for these beginning spreads, this kind of pre-work, you could call it, is to use a different tarot deck. Because by the end of this journey, we're going to circle back around to, if not very similar questions, and personally, I want to circle back on that using a different deck so that I can have the two spreads out side by side from beginning to end and see how the ways I'm thinking about these things shift by going on this journey for these few days that we will be doing so. Anyway, let me know if any of that was confusing. I hope it wasn't. I realize I should write scripts for myself or something. Would I follow them though? No, I wouldn't, even if I did. So, it is what it is. I hope this sounds intriguing and exciting. I'm excited about this. Again, I created this for this feeling I was having, but I think it's been a bit of a undercurrent I've been feeling, at least, around. Maybe you don't feel that way. I don't know. Even if you're not, it could be fun to just join and hang out. But I think that's all I have to share. I will see you all again very soon with day 1 of the journey. And I hope you're having a great week so far.